noodles. I love dumplings, you know, so I love all that stuff. I love all things Chinese food. I really do. There's not a whole lot I don't like. So last night, I picked up curbside pickup from a place called Hung's Shanghai in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Really nice restaurant, fantastic. They had the contactless pickup thing down like I've never seen before. It was awesome. And their food is really good. They don't cut corners. A lot of these, I'm going to say, takeout only places, not all of them, there's good ones, but a lot of them will cut corners. You know, so the tangerine beef will be really tough. They don't do a technique that's called velvetizing. Hung Shanghai does velvetizing. It's awesome. I love it. So, yep, today, here we go. Spring has sprung. This has a lot of spring vegetables in it. So that's why I'm using it. And that's why I'm doing it. It is spring. We're doing fried rice from Chinese takeout leftovers. It's a cool thing. And I'll tell you a little bit about, you know, sometimes, well, almost all the time when I like get pizza delivery or pizza takeout, I'll have my oven on already, and that pizza will go right in the oven, and it'll crisp it up. It'll make it better than if I just eat it out of the box. Sometimes I do just eat it out of the box. Same thing with Chinese food. What I will do is I'll take my wok out with my wokman, and when that Chinese food comes in, I will re-stir fry it at a really high temperature, and I'm telling you, it makes it just as if it just came out of the kitchen. A lot of times in these containers, you know, like here's our food from last night, they'll steam and it'll change the way it is. You know, like even these, we had this orange beef, and they even cut a hole in the top to kind of release some of the steam. Didn't work that well, but, you know, so I will wok it when I get home just because it makes it taste better. So before we get to the cooking part, I want to give a shout out to my buddy, Gary Knecht. He is a member of Independent Crew Motorcycle Club out in California. It's awesome. He's in Stockton, California. And from what I see from the Facebook page and everything, it's like a huge family. They have a lot of fun. They do good stuff. And you know what? He's a man of his word. He said, when I get shirts back in stock, I'm going to send you one. And it just showed up in my house. So I'm really grateful. I am a independent MC supporter, and they are from badass California. I love it. Thanks, Gary. Gary's been a good friend of the show since the beginning, and you know, it's awesome. Thank you. If you want to send me a shirt with your stuff, send me a direct message, and I'll give you the address. And it's one little way of supporting your pal, the Grateful Chef, and I love it. It's a great thing. All right. Now we're going to do what we do on this show, and it's cooking. So here I got my prep deck. You guys know all about this thing. It's all loaded up with all the good ingredients that we're using today. Prep deck, if you're interested in it, it's really a time saver. It makes organization great. It's well priced, and it just has changed my life, you know. So if you go to my website and look at my favorite tools and ingredients, you'll see a link there. If you click on that link, it's my affiliate link. So do it. It's really great if you have any questions about it. It's got all these great containers of all sizes. It just makes my life easy. And the mise en place. So with Chinese food, mise en place is key. Once we get to the wok, it's happening really fast. The work is here in the mise en place. So what we are going to do is I got a couple of things that I need to do. So we got to dice our carrots and our celery, and we're going to get right to that right now. I've got my Chinese cleaver. Of course, you can do it with a knife. Not a big deal. And Lynn, if you want to come close on this, I can show these guys what I'm talking about here. All right, with celery. A lot of times what I'll do is I will crack off the bottom a little bit and try and get rid of some of those strings. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. These don't have some strings. This is organic from my Misfits Market box. All right, so what I like to do is when I'm dicing celery, I'll cut it into smaller pieces, maybe in half, I like to cut these little wings off. It just makes it easier. Makes it more even. And just crack it down. Makes it lie flat. You can see that. I'm going to do them to all of them. You don't want to smash it too hard. You just want to basically crack it in half so they lay flat. Like that. And then we're going to cut these into, we want a pretty fine dice because, you know, it's fried rice. We don't want it a big dice. So I'm going to cut these in like 4. Like that. This, I'm going to cut this half in half and this half in half. Same thing with this piece. This way you don't get all curved pieces.
I love that trick.
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody interested in the prep deck, I just posted the link.
Awesome, thanks. All right, so the benefit of using a Chinese cleaver is the size of the blade, right? So I can lay them all down like this instead of having to do one after the other. Tuck in my fingers, and I'm just going to cut them into a nice dice.
And yet we can see with Eric's cooking his dice and chopping, I'll say, it's very precise.
Practice makes perfect.
That's why he doesn't let me do it.
Correct. All right, so, and I may or may not use all of this. I'm going to eyeball it once I, just because I don't want it to be too much celery. This is what the recipe called. I'm following this guy, John. He's an Asian chef, and he's on, I think it's Taste TV or something like that. All right, so we've got these beautiful carrots here. I've already peeled them. All right, I'm basically going to use the same technique. Cut it like that. Now with carrots, what I like to do is cut a flat side, just a little bit. This way it sits down and it's much safer. I'm going to cut into planks.
And AJ Senko asked, is that a Kinley cleaver?
No, this is I'm going to call it a cheap Lee cleaver that I bought like 15 years ago. You know, so I'm looking to get another one. This does have the curved blade. I want a more flat blade, and this only has a single edge, so I want to get a double edge blade. All right, so I've cut my planks like that. I'm going to do it with this one too. A little bit off the one side so I can lay it flat. And you want this dice to be similar in size to the celery we just did. Now this, I'll cut the tip off. We don't need it. Cut them in half, and these I'll just do little rounds. Okay. So these will go over here. These planks I'll cut into pieces.
As you're doing that, we've got Sophie. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Sophie.
Love the blade. Love the shirt. Love the prep deck.
Nice. She has a prep deck.
Yes, she does.
Her father gave her one for a gift.
And then I just saw Gary said, hey, see you're wearing the shirt. Can't join right now. He's in a meeting, but he will join shortly.
All right.
And we've got Lisa Trake up here. She said, hi, guys.
Lisa? Okay, these I'm just going to cut in half, actually. Carrots take a little bit longer to cook, and with stir fry. Now, a lot of times with Chinese recipes, you're going to take the carrot and you're going to cut it in like a diamond. You want a lot of surface area when you're stir frying. So the more surface of the carrot that can touch the wok at once, the better it is. So again, we're just bunching it together, and we're going in with our nice dice. You say about 1/4 inch. All right, then we got our carrots. Another great thing about using a cleaver, you can use it to scoop. So I know in this recipe that my carrots and celery are going in at the same time, so I'm putting them all in one container. All right, cleaning up. Right in the trash. All right, we've got the carrots and celery. This also calls for onion and mushrooms, and now the onions and mushrooms also go in at the same time, not the same time as the carrots. So yes, I'm going to put them in the same container. So I've got a half an onion, a nice red onion. I've taken the root. Actually, I will take the root out, just like that. And we're going to do our dice. Again, we want it the same. I'm cutting towards the root, and we want them the same size.
Did you just, sorry, I missed it. Did you talk about what you were doing with the onion and how you were cutting it?
Yeah, I'm dicing. So we're slicing across,
Yeah.
and then cutting towards the root, but not all the way. This is where you're going to determine the size. Just like that. Got a little bit of dice already, and then we're going down.
I always love this trick. Technique, not really a trick.
And sometimes you get that layer that gets a little bit loose. I'll take that off because it's safer. And then you always have this end piece. So what I'll do is I'll lay it down and then I'll cut it into a dice like that. So there we go. Beautiful onion. That's going in my prep deck container. Like so. Mushrooms, same thing. So with the mushrooms, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them, I'm going to slice them like this. Maybe one more. Mushrooms cook pretty quick, so I'm just slicing them in rounds. Not typical of how you would slice mushrooms for, I'd say, 98% of recipes, but it's a different recipe.
What's the difference?
It's just usually you'll either slice mushrooms, you know, to include the stem with each slice, or you will quarter mushrooms. But yeah, most I don't think I haven't cut a mushroom like this for any other cuisine except for Chinese.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to take our rounds, and now that we have them like that, we're just simply going to cut across like so, and then turn them and get our dice like that.
Well, I'll say one thing is this knife is noisier
Oh yeah.
than your other ones.
Well, it's heavier.
We've got Kate Orion. He said, good evening, y'all.
Hello. Welcome to the party. All right. These are really nice cremini mushrooms. You could use shiitake mushrooms if you want. Whatever you got really in the house, you could use white button mushrooms. It doesn't matter. I like the cremini. They've got a little more umami. And if you don't know, cremini is actually a portobello that has not been allowed to fully develop.
So, is a cremini also called a baby bella?
It is also called, they're marketed as a baby bella. All right, so our onions and mushrooms are going to go in together. So again, I'm putting that in the same container. Simple. Just like that. Let's see, what else do I have to do? All right, the last thing I have to do is crack a couple of eggs and beat them up. These eggs are room temperature, which is perfectly fine. They'll whip up better. Most restaurants use eggs that are at room temperature when they're coming for cooking, when they're talking about cooking.
And when I bake, also room temperature.
Yeah. Little fork. Beat them up. All right, so other ingredients in this recipe are, and I had said in the title of the recipe on the announcement that it really lends itself to adding whatever protein you want. You could do shrimp fried rice, pork fried rice, beef fried rice, all veggie, whatever you want to do, right? So when I was at the Asian market, I did buy a product called lapchang. I'm going to show it to you. Lapchang is a Chinese sausage. They're actually really good to eat like snack sticks. It's got a little sweetness to them. Probably has a little Chinese rice wine, soy sauce, sugar, vinegar. It has, yes, Mai Kui Lu liquor, spirits distilled from sorghum with rose flower added. It's a really unique flavor. So I said, you know what, why don't I add that into my fried rice? That's my pork element. And that's the first ingredient is pork. They also have a pork chicken, but really unique flavor. So I've got that right here. I've got that diced. You can see that. It's like Chinese charcuterie. I have some scallion white parts. Corn we're putting in. I did buy some ears of corn to cut the corn off the cob, but the kernels were really small, and you really want a nice yellow kernel. So I actually did use a canned corn here. You can definitely do that. And peas, frozen peas. One of my favorite frozen products is peas. All right, we've got a little bit of soy sauce. I've got a little oyster sauce. I've got a little vegetable oil. This is from, we're not using that tonight. And I've got a squeeze of lemon. And that is the ingredients. And of course, our trusty leftover rice. So I'm going to move the prep deck over to the stove. Like so. And I've got, I'm not going to use all this rice. I'm going to use about 3 cups. Using my Rockmon, of course. And fried rice really isn't a very high temperature stir fry. In fact, the first thing I'm going to do is do the eggs, and I want to do that at a low temperature because I don't want the eggs to burn, you know, to overcook. Just want them to get nice, fluffy, you know. Put my thing up here. All right, so
could you push the prep deck back a couple inches?
I can. That better?
Yep.
All right, so medium low. That's what we're going to do.
Huh.
I'm going to put in my vegetable oil.
I'm surprised at your medium low.
Yeah.
I know you said it was lower, but
And when you want to kind of, they call it season the wok every time. So in a Chinese restaurant, they'll have the wok hot. They'll put in some oil. They'll swirl it around, and then they'll dump it out. And then they'll go ahead and start their cooking. So I'm going to put a little bit of oil in just to swirl it around because I want it to coat the wok. Didn't need it all. All right, and this is where it's going to happen very quickly. All right, I'll let that heat up just a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to scramble our eggs. Where's my fork go? So the idea is you want to scramble it. You want to break up those big pieces.
I need you to turn the lights down.
More?
It's a little glowy.
All right. Let me put that on, and we'll turn this off. How about that?
Oh, it's much better. Yes, thank you.
All right. So you want this to scramble, then you want to break the pieces up into, you know, kind of bite-sized pieces. You can see it's happening really fast. Let that set up. I'll break them up into bite-sized pieces. And the next thing to go in is going to be our onions and mushrooms. All right. be really soft. They have to be cooked well. And we got a little bit of oil from here. Just because I think I might need a little more when I start doing the veggies. Alright, see, it's coming together.
Just like my scrambled eggs.
There you go. Alright. Gonna move that kind of to the side. Gonna add a little bit more oil. And in go our onions and our mushrooms. See, real low temperature, you're not looking to go out in a blaze of glory here. Love my wok. It's like my most non-stick pan. Break that egg up just so it doesn't stick. You really just want to take the rawness off of those onions. So in a Chinese restaurant, they have like a valve down here that they can kind of hit with their leg, turn the fire up, turn the fire down. Pretty cool. All right, so we've got that done. Next. All right, I'm going to add the cooked rice. Again, I'm not going to add all this. This is like a quart. I'm going to add about 3 cups.
They give us a lot of rice.
Yeah. But this recipe is so good, I would say that when you order Chinese takeout, order an extra quart just to make fried rice the next day. So this is basically going to be toasting the rice a little bit, give you that fried rice flavor.
Oh, it smells really good.
Yeah, so far so good. Turn it down a little bit. You see it browning too much? Because you really don't want that. The browning actually comes from the soy sauce. You're really just reheating this rice, putting a little toast on it. There's a thing called wok hei, and it is basically the breath of the wok, and that's what you want. You want this rice to pick up that flavor from the wok.
We usually wok for all kinds of lesser flavors.
Yeah. I have actually one wok that I only deep fry in, and then I have this wok that I stir fry. All right. Beautiful. I'm going to add my sausage right now. Let that kind of fume the rice a little bit. Alright, in go our carrots and our celery. I think that's it. I'm not going to use all that celery. You can hear it's like snap, crackle, pop. Already it's looking awesome. So here we've got egg, we've got onion, we've got mushrooms. The mushrooms are releasing some of their liquid, which helps keep this a little bit moist. And so far I've only used like 2.5, maybe 2.5 tablespoons of oil.
And you're making fried rice for 6.
Oh yeah, there's like 3 cups of rice in here. So. Alright. You really just want to, again, cook the rawness out of the carrots. See if I can give it a little flip.
I'm gonna move the camera back to that one.
Beautiful. This is looking great. I can see that the sausage is warmed up and it's releasing some of their oils. Excellent.
How can you tell that? Is that just from the color?
I can just see it.
All right.
And some of the onion is getting that little brown char on it that I love with fried rice. All right. Now, next, what are we adding next? We are adding our oyster sauce. About a tablespoon of oyster sauce. We're adding our soy sauce. We're adding some black pepper. Actually, I'm going to add white pepper because I love white pepper with Chinese food. More white pepper powder, more aromatic.
So that's better than ground white pepper?
Well, yeah, because when you buy it at the Asian store, it's super fine. Distributes better.
I just saw that. So that was just like, looks like onion powder.
Now you can see it's taken on a darker color because of the soy sauce and the oyster sauce. All right, next. The peas. And you can do these peas right from the freezer. I happen to have them out a little bit so they defrost a little bit. Scallions are going in.
And we've got Gary's back and said we need to invent smell-o-vision with iOS capability.
Yes.
That would be good. We've got Jeff Harrington. He said, "Big dog,
What's up, Jeff?
Love the shirt."
Thanks, brother.
And Tom Delia, love fried rice, and hi to Lynn and Eric.
Hello, Tommy.
This is awesome.
Yeah, look at that. So we're not talking about that yellow stuff you get at the Chinese takeout. The only yellow rice I want to eat is saffron rice, right? Beautiful. Oh, looks awesome. It smells great.
And when I try
Now,
that,
last but not least,
when I try that,
I'm going to add the corn.
Yep.
Again, this is canned corn, so and I'm not going to add it all because I'm going by how much rice I have. Because it's canned corn, we're just heating it through. Nice.
I see Kevin out there. Hey, Kevin.
What's up, Kevin? Oh yeah, this looks fantastic. Alright, we're just about done. The last thing I'm going to do, I've got a lemon. I'm going to squeeze that in. That is going to brighten up the flavors. That's a half a lemon. Toss. I'm pretty sure most takeout Chinese places are not squeezing lemon into their fried rice.
Probably not.
There we go. We are done.
Is it time to taste it?
Almost.
Dan Webster working that walk like it ain't no thing.
Ain't no thing, Dan. All right. So I'm going to put it on this platter.
And Kate said it looks amazing already, and Funny Nimmer said looking delicious.
All right. I'm going to try doing it with my opposite hand for the purposes of the camera.
I appreciate that. Good luck.
Beautiful. That's just enough for Lynn and I.
Yeah.
We're going to have leftovers of our leftovers.
What else were we going to do with the rice?
All right, exactly. You know what? What I like to do is, because I love the flavor of sesame oil as long as it's used properly, not too much, I'm just going to put a little tiny drizzle of sesame oil over it. Because it just adds like a kind of a depth, you know, a little exotic flavor. That's it. Now I'm going to plate some up. You want to come back to the cutting board? Come back to the cutting board, honey. I'll bring this over. Beautiful. And I'm going to put a little, the green part of the scallion. So the scallion that I added before was the white part. Now I'm adding green, just because, hey, I can.
Color.
Yeah. Get a nice wide thing to serve. And I'm going to serve myself a little bit. And then put it back together so we can take a nice picture later. And so what I'm going to do is, since I've got my wok out, I'm going to do exactly what I said. I'm going to re-wok some of the other leftovers. Chopsticks here.
Because we need more food tonight, or do you just want to eat this?
You might as well eat it. All right, let's see. Hot. So the salt is perfect because you're only using, I don't know, a tablespoon of soy sauce, a tablespoon and a half of oyster sauce. You've got the flavor of the sausage I can really taste, which is great. So, yeah, if you're using shrimp, pardon me for talking with my mouth full, you can put them in, I would say, just before you put the rice in. I throw in the shrimp for like 30 seconds and then go to the rice part. What's great, the vegetables, the carrots are still, we're going to call them crisp tender, exactly the way I want it. And that little sesame oil at the end brings it up. It's beautiful. And the lemon juice is fantastic. It's a great thing. So anyway, we're going to end this like we end every Chinese meal. This is all of our fortune tonight.
Please be a good one.
And by the way, I've got leftover fortune cookies because of my theory. The number of fortune cookies that come in your order, in my estimation, is how many people they think you're ordering for. So Lynn and I got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 6 fortune cookies.
Is that what's left over for today? Or
No,
is it
we had
yesterday?
6 altogether. All right. Very good. There is more to balance than not falling over.
Huh.
And
That's
I know
very good.
I just heard Kevin say in bed. No. there is more to balance than not falling over. And if anybody wants to become rich, their numbers are 15, 30, 10, 4, 6, and 49. Good luck. Anyway, thanks again, guys, for joining us. We express extreme gratitude for you guys checking in each and every week. And all of our content, check out my website, www.eatingwithcheferic.com, for all sorts of cool things. Check out the prep deck and eat well, be kind.